Hello students, welcome back. This side Pushpen Singh Rajawat and I have welcomed you all in the last chapter of class 10, that is the carbon and its compound, and we are going to discuss here the lecture first. So students, before starting that what we are going to study in this particular lecture, so let us see what this chapter is made up of and it contains how many topics. So students, starting from the chapter name, that is carbon and its compounds. So students, this is the first chapter of the organic chemistry because the organic chemistry starts from the carbon. This we are going to discuss here, that how the organic chemistry takes place from the organic compound. So here we are going to see that is the modern concept of organic compounds and the organic chemistry, and after that we are going to see here that is the Berzelius theory, after which we are going to see here the Wohler's synthesis for the organic compound. So these are going to meet what? These all three are going to make you understand that why we are studying here this chapter, that is the carbon and its compound. And after that we are going to see here that for the organic chemistry and for the organic compounds we have to see here the nature and the bonding that takes place in the carbon. So here we are going to see the covalent bonding and understand this, what are the covalent bonds and how it takes place and how to represent a covalent bond. And then we are going to move into what? That is the versatile nature of carbon. So here we are going to see that how the organic compounds and the organic compounds come into the existence, that is the organic chemistry. The study of the organic compounds comes under the category of organic chemistry. So here we are going to see here that why only carbon is the only element that makes so many of the compounds. About millions of compounds are being made by the combination of carbon, or we can say that millions of compounds comes under the category of the organic chemistry. So that is because of the versatile nature of carbon that we are going to see here, that how the carbon element is different from all other elements and why so many compounds of carbon takes place in the nature. Now after studying these all, that is the versatile nature of carbon, we are going to see here the allotropes. So what are the allotropes of carbon? That are the diamond, graphite and fullerene. These are the crystalline forms of carbon. Apart from that there are many amorphous forms, but here we are going to see the allotropic forms of carbon, that is the crystalline form, which includes the diamond, graphite and fullerene. Now apart from these we are going to move into the next section, which is about the organic chemistry. So after the third section here came into existence, which is the organic chemistry. In this we are going to see here the hydrocarbons. After hydrocarbons we are going to see here that is the different type of hydrocarbons and their properties, that is saturated hydrocarbons and unsaturated hydrocarbons. And apart from that we are going to see here the homologous series. So what is this homologous series? We are going to see here what is the meaning of the homologues and homologous series. Apart from that we are going to move here into the IUPAC nomenclature, that if there are so many compounds that takes place in the nature and many of them are synthesized in the laboratory, so how can we name all these compounds? So for that we have to move into what? That is the IUPAC nomenclature. Apart from that we are going to see here the functional groups, which determine the properties of the organic compound. So this is also very important, and its properties along with the naming, that is here we are going to see its naming also, which is based on the IUPAC nomenclature. So students, this is about the second part, that we are going to see these all in the details. And apart from these students, we are going to see here that is the alcohol and the acetic acid and their chemical properties. So simply I am writing here the chemical properties of some compounds. So students, the last part of this chapter includes what? That is the soaps and the detergents section. So here at last we are going to see here, that is the soaps and detergents. So this is what, this is the last part which includes what? That is soaps and detergents. So here we are going to see that how the soaps been made and what are the formula of the soaps and how the soaps and detergents are used for cleaning of the substances, that is the cleansing action of soaps. So students, if we talk about the carbon and its compound chapter, here we are going to see this chapter is divided into 4 basic parts. The first part is about the carbon, that how the organic chemistry took into existence and how many organic compounds are there and how some organic compounds are synthesized in the laboratories. So here this was the first part, and then we are going to move into the second part where we are going to see the versatile nature of the carbon and the allotropic forms of the carbon. Apart from that, in the third part we are going to discuss the organic chemistry, that is the hydrocarbons, homologous series, IUPAC nomenclature. This part is very much important, functional group and their naming also, and the chemical properties of some compounds. Apart from that, at last we are going to end our chapter with the soaps and detergents and the cleansing action of the soap. So here this is 4 major parts of this chapter. This is a big chapter as compared to all the chapters that we have studied in the class 10. So students, let us now move into the slide and see that what we are going to see today, that is in our today's lecture. So in the today's lecture we are going to see here the modern definition of the organic chemistry, vital force theory. What was this vital force theory? This was given by the Berzelius. So we are going to see here the vital force theory and the Wohler synthesis. So Wohler synthesized the first organic compound in the laboratory, that we are going to see here, and after that many organic compounds been synthesized till date. And at last we are going to see here the bonding in the carbon, that is the covalent bond, and how the covalent bond takes place and how it is responsible for so much large number of the compounds. So let us now starting with the first, that is the modern definition of the organic compound. But first let us have an introduction over here, that is for the organic compounds. So organic compounds are those compounds, that is you can see here the compounds like urea, sugar, fats, oil, dyes, proteins and vitamins, they are all present in the living organisms. So they were isolated directly and indirectly from the living organisms, that is here you can see the word organisms. And such animals and plants that contains all these, that is they are obtained from what? That is the organism. That is why they are termed as the organic compounds. So just from the, as they are obtained from the organisms and since they are present in the living organisms, that is why they have given the name as the organic compounds. So now students, let us see here about the organic chemistry, that is the branch of chemistry which deals with the study of these compounds, that is the organic compounds, is termed as what? It's termed as the organic chemistry. So students, this is what, this is about the classical definition. So we have what? We have a modern definition also. So what we see students, we see that in all the organic compounds it contains what? It contains carbon as an essential element, and along with the carbon there are hydrogen is present. So since carbon and hydrogens are present, so we can term that all organic compounds contain what? Hydrocarbons, and many other organic compounds are the derivatives of the hydrocarbon. So here we move into what? We move into the modern definition of the organic compound. So here you can see that the organic compounds may be defined as the hydrocarbons. So what are these hydrocarbons? We are going to see hydrocarbons in the detail in this chapter. So the compounds that are made from the carbon and the hydrogens are termed as hydrocarbon. So the organic compounds may be defined as the hydrocarbons and their derivatives. So what is the meaning of the derivatives? That is, if we can remove one hydrogen from here and if we can attach what? Suppose say nitrogen, oxygen, sulfur or anything, just by removing either hydrogen or carbon from the main chain. So these, they are going to form what? They are going to form the derivatives that we are also going to see when we move further in this chapter. And reading out the definition, that is the organic compound may be defined as the hydrocarbon and their derivatives, and the branch of chemistry which deals with the study of the hydrocarbons and their derivative is termed as the organic chemistry. So students, this you need to remember, this is the actual definition of organic compounds and the organic chemistry. That is, if all the organic compounds contain the hydrocarbons and their derivatives, that if there is a say organic compound is there, then they must include carbon in them. They might be possible that all the hydrogens that is present or attached with the carbon might have replaced with some other elements to form a derivative. Here you can see there are large number of organic compounds that are shown here, and they all contains what? They all contains carbon in them. Here in this dash, it means that two carbon atoms are connected. So students, let us now move into the next slide and see here, that is, the organic chemistry is treated as a separate branch because of the following reasons. So there are so many large number of compounds are there, and due to which, and there are many also other reasons, so we study those compounds as a separate branch of chemistry, which is termed as a organic chemistry. So here these are the reasons, that is, organic compounds are very large in number. I have already told you that these are ranging from the millions. Second part, that is, organic compounds generally contains the covalent bond. So here they do not contains any ions for the formation of ionic bond or the electrovalent bond. They contains what? They contains only atoms of the elements which share their electrons to form the covalent bond. We are going to discuss the covalent bond in this chapter. Now the third point is the organic compounds are soluble in the non-polar solvent. So since they contains the covalent bond, it means that they are soluble in the non-polar solvent, because here the covalent, due to the formation of the covalent compound, they do not form ions or there is no transfer of electron takes place. It simply means what? It simply means that the organic compounds are non-polar in nature, so they would be soluble in the non-polar solvents only. The fourth, organic compounds have low melting and boiling point due to the covalent bonding. The next points are, we are going to discuss them in the chapter. So organic compounds show isomerism and the organic compounds exhibit homology. So due to all these reasons, we can say that organic chemistry is treated as a separate branch that has a name, the organic chemistry. Now students, moving into the next slide and see here, that is the vital force theory. So this is a very this theory has gained so many advantages, because at the first it was just like that the organic compounds could only be synthesized in the living organisms. We cannot synthesize them outside the living organisms. So it was believed that some mysterious force was there for the production of the organic compound in the living organism. So this was given by what? This was given by the Berzelius. So that this is the vital force theory was also called as the Berzelius hypothesis. So organic compounds cannot be synthesized in the laboratory because they require the presence of mysterious force termed as the vital force, which exists only in the living organism. So these are the words which are given by the Berzelius, and it was believed at that time that the organic compounds could only be synthesized in the living organisms because the mysterious force or the vital force should be requiring for the making of the organic compounds. But students, as we know, there is another theory, that is the Wohler's synthesis. So how the Wohler synthesized the organic compound? So Wohler synthesized the first organic compound in the laboratory, in which he synthesized accidentally the urea from the ammonium cyanate. And since urea is an organic compound, so it was believed that organic compounds could also be synthesized in the laboratories, and from that date we have synthesized numerous millions of the organic compounds in the laboratory. So talking about the Wohler synthesis, so in 1828 Friedrich Wohler synthesized urea, which is a well-known organic compound. And remember students, this was the first organic compound that was synthesized in the laboratory. So he synthesized urea in the laboratory by heating ammonium cyanate. This you need to remember, because this equation for the synthesis of ammonia, that is the urea, is also asked in the examinations. Now urea is the first organic compound that is synthesized in the laboratory. So now students, moving here and see the equation how the urea is synthesized in the laboratory. So here you can see students that we have what? We have the ammonium sulfate that is having the formula of NH4 whole twice SO4, that is made by the ammonium ion and the sulfate ions. When it is heated with what? That is the potassium cyanate, they are going to form what? They are going to form ammonium cyanate along with the potassium sulfate. So since here ammonium cyanate has been made, and when it has been heated, so the rearrangement takes place, and in the laboratory there is a smell of urea. That is, due to the formation of urea, there is the smell of this. So here you can see the ammonium cyanide, on heating they rearrange to form what? That is the urea, having the formula of NH2CONH2. Here students, this dash is representing the bond between the carbon and the nitrogen. Here you can see double dash. So here these double dash are going to represent what? These double dash are also going to represent the bond between the oxygen and the carbon atoms. This we are going to see in the upcoming chapter as the chapter proceeds on. So students, just remember this point, that is, from the ammonium cyanide we have made what? That is the urea. You can see here the urea has many applications. It is used by the farmers also for the farming. So you could also write it, the formula of urea, as that is NH2CONH2. Here it contains what? Here it contains 2 nitrogen atoms, 4 hydrogen atoms, 1 carbon atom and 1 oxygen atom. So this is what? This is the urea which is first synthesized in the laboratory, or the first organic compound which has been synthesized in the laboratory. So now students, let us now move into the next slide and see over here the bonding in the carbon, that is the covalent bonds. So in the carbon, covalent bonding takes place, and not only in the carbon, covalent bonding takes place in many other compounds also. So let us see here about the bonding in carbon. So most carbon compounds are poor conductor of electricity. Talking about the next point, that is the boiling point and melting point of the carbon compounds are low. So due to which the forces of attraction between these molecules, students, remember here we are talking about the forces of attraction between the molecules of the organic compounds are not very strong also. So as these compounds are largely non-conductor of electricity, hence the bonding in these compounds does not give rise to any of the ions. So students, as you have studied about the metals and non-metals, you have seen the properties of the ionic compounds, that they are good conductors of electricity. Second point, you have seen that they have high melting point and boiling point, and they are soluble in water. But here you can see what? Here you can see that the carbon compounds are poor conductor of electricity. Their melting point and boiling point is also low. They are insoluble in water, and the force of attraction between the molecules of the organic compounds are not so strong as compared to the ionic compounds. It means that in the carbon compounds or in the organic compounds, there should not be formation of any ions, and they should be containing some different type of bonding in them. So here they are containing what? They are containing the covalent bonding, that is the sharing of the electrons taking place in them, not the transfer of electrons which takes place in the formation of ionic bond. So here you can see the reactivity of the element is explained as the tendency to attain a completely filled outermost shell, that is the attain the noble gas electronic configuration. So if we talk about the carbon, the electronic configuration of carbon is 2,4, because its atomic number is 6. It has 2 electrons in its K shell and 4 electrons in its L shell. So it requires what? It requires 4 more electrons. So that could be possible if it has gained 4 electrons from the any other metal. And since if it has gained 4 more electrons, it should have formed the anion. So, but since here we have seen that the carbon compounds do not show any of the properties of the ionic compound, it means that it has not gained the 4 electrons. Now talking about if it has lost the 4 electrons, its electronic configuration would have become the stable noble gas electronic configuration as that of the helium gas. So if in this case it could have formed the C+4, that is carbon cation. In this case also it could be acting as a cation, that is it should be having the ionic bond. But here, since we have seen the properties in the previous slide, it is confirmed that the carbon compounds are not containing any electrovalent bond or the ionic bond. So here students, we can see carbon has to do what? Carbon has to take or give 4 electrons, but the taking and giving of the 4 electrons is not possible. So carbon has to find out some alternative method so as to become stable. And how it can become stable? By making this electronic configuration as 2,8 as that of the neon gas. So carbon has 4 electrons in its outermost shell, and it needs to gain or lose 4 electrons to attain the noble gas configuration that I have already told you. But what are the problems? That why the carbon has not gained 4 electrons, neither it was losing the 4 electrons to achieve the stability. So we are going to see these cases, that in the case if it is going to attract the 4 electrons, that is it is going to take the 4 electrons, and in the second case if it is going to lose the 4 electrons. So if it were to gain or lose the electrons, what would be the cases? So here students, let us see the cases and discuss them here. That if it could gain the 4 electrons, so here if the carbon atom has gained the 4 electrons forming the C4 minus anion, but it would be very difficult for the nucleus with the 6 protons to hold on to the 10 electrons, that is the 4 extra electrons. So for that students, and for the understanding, you can see here this is the carbon atom which contains a nucleus in which 6 protons and 6 neutrons are present, and it has 6 electrons which are distributed in the K shell and the L shell. So the first shell is K shell, the second shell is the L shell. The K shell contains 2 electrons while the L shell contains 1, 2, 3, 4 electrons, and the electronic configuration of carbon, as you have already seen, 6 is its atomic number, 12 is its mass number, and the K shell it has 2 electrons, and in the L shell it has 4 electrons. So its electronic configuration is 2, 4. Here you can see the number of electrons is equals to number of protons, that is equals to 6. Now here the protons are attracting the electron towards itself. So here the electrons are present in this shell, that is they are revolving in this shell. Now what happen if it could gain 4 electrons? So if it could gain 4 electrons, it means here 1 electron should be there, here 1 electron should be there, that is in the L shell, 1 electron should be there in here, and 1 electron should be there in here. So what you see over here students, you see here that is there is no change in the number of protons, only there is a change in the number of electrons. So here when it has gained 4 electrons, you can see the number of protons remain as it is, that is equals to 6, while the total number of electrons has become what? That is equals to 6 plus 4, which is equals to 10. And since students, you can see here 6 protons are attracting the 6 electrons in the carbon atom, while in the C4 minus here 6 proton is attracting the 10 electrons, so which is very difficult for the nucleus to hold on to all these electrons. And also there is the repulsion between the electrons present in the L shell if the carbon would have gained the 4 electrons. So here, so due to the difficulty, the nucleus could not hold into the 10 electrons. So here the C4 is not forming, that is the carbon is not going to gain 4 electrons. Now this was the case in which the carbon has to gain the 4 electrons. So there is second scenario also students, in which the carbon could have lost its 4 electron forming the C4 anion. So if it could have lost or lose 4 electrons to forming the C plus 4 cation, so what would have been the case? So here if it has lost, that is in this case it has been having 6 protons and 6 neutrons. This you have seen, this is the carbon atom, and on losing the 4 electrons, that is first the electronic configuration of carbon is what? That is 2, 4, that is the K shell it would be having the 2 electrons, and in the L shell it would be having the 4 electrons. So if it lose these 4 electrons, so its L shell would be containing 0 electrons, only 2 electrons would be there. So here on removing the first electron, you can see the number of proton and the number of electrons. So in the case of this, the number of electrons would be what? Number of electrons would be 1 less than that of the number of protons. So here the number of electrons would be less, that is if we have lost 1 electron, so on releasing 1 electron the number of protons would be 6, while the number of electron would become 5. So there is a greater force of attraction between the nucleus and the remaining electrons. Now if we wish to remove another electron, the number of protons remains same as it is, while the number of electrons would become 4. So here there is also a very large force of attraction, because here only 4 electrons are left and we have 6 protons in the nucleus. So in the third case, on removing 1 more electron, the number of protons would become 6 and number of electrons would become 3. But in all of these, this is talking about the ionization energy first, ionization energy second, and ionization energy third. And you have seen that the successive ionization energy goes on increasing. That if we talk about here, that is IE2 which would be much greater than IE1, and IE3 would be much greater than the IE2 and IE1. Now as far we have removed only 3 electrons from the outermost shell. We wish to remove 1 more electron, because here we have to form C plus 4 cation. So on removing 1 more electron, here the number of proton would remain same, while the number of electrons would become 2. So in this case we have what? We have the IE4, and the IE4 would be much larger than all the 3 cases. So students, that if we wish to remove the electrons from here, we have to supply large amount of energy for making the C+4 cation. So since we are not providing here the much energy and very large energy is being needed for the formation, so the C+4 cation formation also not taking place. So how carbon find its solution? So carbon find its solution by sharing its 4 electron to the other atoms, that is either with the carbon, oxygen, sulfur, or with any other different elements. So students, this we have seen that neither C+4 is going to meet, that is the carbon is not going to meet C4 minus and C+4 ions. So carbon here overcomes this problem by sharing its 4 valence electron. So just reading it out, that is carbon overcomes this problem by sharing its 4 valence electrons. So what are these valence electrons? That is the electrons that are present in the outermost shell of an atom. So it is going to share its 4 valence electron with the atoms of the carbon or with the atoms of the other element, and the shared electrons belongs to the outer shell of both the atoms and lead to the formation of what? That is the noble gas configuration. So after sharing all the electrons between the atoms that have shared their electrons, they have achieved what? They are going to achieve the electronic configuration as that of the noble gas. So here you can see that is the methane. In this methane you have seen the hydrogen is there, and you can see here that is at the surrounding of hydrogen the 2 electrons are present. It means that the K shell of hydrogen is completed and it would have become stable. In the case of carbon, you have seen here that on counting the total number of electrons that are present in the outermost shell of the carbon, you can see here 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. So there are total 8 electrons are present in the outermost shell of carbon. It means that carbon have also attained the stability as that of the noble gas, and this could be achieved by sharing the electrons. Here the carbon has shared 1 electron with this hydrogen, 1 electron with this hydrogen, 1 electron with this hydrogen, and 1 electron with this hydrogen. Here the blue is representing the electron from the carbon, while the red dot is representing the electron from the hydrogen. So here in all these cases carbon has shared its 1 electron with 4 different hydrogen atoms. So this is what? This is a covalent bonding. So let us now students move into the next slide, which is about the Lewis notation or the Lewis dot structure. So students, just to represent the covalent bonding, we need to first study about the Lewis dot structure. So according to Lewis notation, the electrons in the valence shells are represented by either dots or with the crosses. That is, it could be either represented just like this, the dot, or the crosses. 2 represents the valence electrons present in the atom of any element. Now this method was proposed by G and Lewis and is known as the Lewis representation or Lewis structure or simply Lewis dot structure. Now how we represent this Lewis dot structure? So here the shared pair of electrons that was shown by either cross or dot that we are going to see in the examples coming next is said to constitute a single bond. This you need to represent. You remember students that if a shared pair, that is for one pair we have to do what? We have to assume a single bond. Now between the 2 hydrogen atoms that we are going to see in the next example, and is represented by a line between the 2 atoms. Now next point, that is pictorially the molecule can be represented by drawing 2 overlapping circles around the symbols of the atoms and showing the shared pair of electrons in the overlapping part. So this is how we need to do the Lewis dot structure for showing the covalent bonding. Students, just for an example, let us move into the next slide and see here, that is the molecules found by the sharing of valence electrons for the hydrogen molecule. So for hydrogen students, you all know the hydrogen has the atomic number 1 and its electronic configuration is what? That is 1. So since it has only 1 electron in its K shell, so this is termed as the valence electron which is present in the valence shell, that is the K shell. So it requires 1 electron, but who will give hydrogen 1 electron? There is no atom present nearby hydrogen. So hydrogen is going to share its 1 electron with another hydrogen atom, because another hydrogen atom also wants 1 electron. So they are going to do what? They are going to do the mutual sharing of the electron. Here you can see that this hydrogen, this is the symbol for the hydrogen. Here we have written this what? That is the Lewis notation or the Lewis dot structure. here the symbol is represented with the symbol of an element, and here the dot is representing what? It is representing the valence electron for the hydrogen atom. Now here we have the same hydrogen atom, so here just to differentiate these electrons we have used here the cross symbol. Now what is happening over here? Here this hydrogen is putting its one electron for the sharing, and same this hydrogen is putting its one electron for the sharing, which you can see over here just like this, that apart from this hydrogen is putting its one electron for the sharing. Similarly this hydrogen is also putting its one electron for the sharing, and you can see over here we have to do what? We have to draw the circle in which the symbol of an element comes and also the shared pair of electrons comes, because these electrons are shared between these two hydrogen atoms. Now you can see over here that if we talk about this hydrogen atom, you can see here that here it contains two electrons. It means that the duplet of the hydrogen is now completed. Now talking about the second hydrogen atom, you can see over here that if we talk about this, that is the electrons that are present in the circle part, so here one hydrogen atom is there and two electrons are being present around the hydrogen atom. So here these two electrons are forming what? These two electrons are forming a single covalent bond, which is represented by what? Which is represented by this dash. You can see over here that between the hydrogen and hydrogen single dash is present. So single dash is representing what? It is representing shared pair of electron, that is two electrons are being present in this single dash, and here two electrons are mutually shared, one from each atom. So here you can see, you can either write it like this, and here H2 is what? H2 is the hydrogen molecule. So students, this you need to remember, and this is what? This is a single covalent bond that is represented by the single dash. Here students, you can see that hydrogen and hydrogen atoms, or the orbitals of the hydrogen and hydrogen, are simply overlapping with each other. For the better understanding students, you can take a look over here, that is if we talk about this hydrogen atom which has only one electron, so here you can see its orbital around the nucleus of an hydrogen atom. Now if talk about the hydrogen atoms in which the two electrons are being shared, so they are forming what? They are forming the H2 molecule. So here since they are forming the H2 molecules and there is the sharing of electron, it means that their orbitals are simply overlapping. You can see over here that if I make this as an orbital for this hydrogen and this as an orbital of this hydrogen atom, you can see here the overlapping of the electron is taking place. So this is how we are going to represent it. Either we can represent it like this, that is this is the one atom of hydrogen and it is covalently bonded with another atom of hydrogen. It means that they are sharing the electrons in between them and they are present just like this, you can see over here, or you can represent it with the dash diagram also. So students, I hope that from this example it is very clear that how the covalent bonds are being represented and how we have to draw the Lewis dot structure. So now students, let us move and do some more questions which are based on the Lewis dot structure, so that we can find here how many electrons are shared between the different atoms or the same atoms and how many covalent bonds are present. Because in the examination it has been asked, in some question it has been asked, find the total number of covalent bonds present in that molecule. So here you can see here, that is for the chlorine molecule. So chlorine molecule is represented by Cl2, and you can see since it is made up of two chlorine atoms, that is Cl and Cl, and here since they both are what? They both are the atoms of chlorine, so they are deficient of electrons and the electronic configuration is 2, 8, 7. It means that they require 1 electrons to attain stability. Same goes with this chlorine which has the electronic configuration of 2, 8, 7. It also requires 1 electron to gain the stability. So here the one chlorine atom is represented like this, that is the Cl, which is the symbol for chlorine atom, and here the dots are representing the valence electrons. That is, for an example, here the 7 electrons are valence electrons for the chlorine atom, so they are represented with the help of the dot, as you can see here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 are there. Now talking about the next chlorine atom, here just to differentiate it, this chlorine atom from this, we have represented here its valence electron with the help of the cross. So here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7 crosses are there. So these are 2 chlorine atoms. And now you can see here that since this chlorine is requiring only one electron and this chlorine is also requiring only one electron, so they are going to put their one electron for the sharing. So here they both are putting what? They both are putting their one electron for the sharing, and this sharing is termed as the mutual sharing. So in the covalent bonding, mutual sharing of electrons takes place. So here you can see that this chlorine has put its one electron that is very close to this chlorine atom, and this chlorine atom is also putting its one electron very close to this chlorine atom, so that these two electrons are shared mutually between these two atoms. So here you can write it like in this manner, that is, you can see here that this was the electron for this chlorine atom and this was the electron for this chlorine atom, and here when you make the circle for all the electrons present around this chlorine atom, you can see here and count the number of electrons, you can see that there are 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 and 8. So there are total number of 8 electrons around this chlorine atom. It means that its outermost shell, that is the octet, has been completed, so it has gained the stability. And talking about this chlorine atom, you can see over here that it also have 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 and 8 electrons around the chlorine atom. It means that it has also has 8 valence electron in its outermost shell. So here you can see how many electrons that are being shared over here. So there are only 2 electrons that are being shared over here. So since there are only 2 electrons which are shared between these two chlorine atoms, so here we are representing these 2 electrons with the help of this bond. So here this is what? This is a single covalent bond, and it contains how many electrons? It contains 2 electrons. So the chlorine molecule is represented like this, that is Cl-Cl, or if we talk about this, the representation in which the chlorine atoms are covalently bonded, this is what? This is representing a covalent bond also. And in the covalent bonding, the overlapping is taking place. So you can see over here that this is the chlorine atom, or we can say the orbital of the chlorine atom, which is, so they are what they are doing? They are doing the sharing, that is the sharing of the orbitals. Now students, this was the example for chlorine. So let us now move into some more examples and see over here for the hydrogen chloride molecule. So hydrogen chloride is what? Hydrogen chloride, that is having the formula of HCl. So there is a misconception among the students that HCl is what? HCl is a ionic compound. It is not an ionic compound, students. It is a covalent compound, but it dissolves in water to give H plus ions, that is it ionizes in the aqueous solution. But you can see over here that hydrogen is a non-metal, chlorine is a non-metal, both are deficient of electrons. You can see that talking about the hydrogen, the electronic configuration of hydrogen is 1, that is in the K shell. Chlorine, that is 2, 8, 7, that is in the K, L and M. So here it is only having 1 electron, so it requires 1 electron, and chlorine is also deficient of 1 electron, so it is also requiring 1 electron. But who can give them electrons? So there are no metals present over here who can give their electrons to these non-metals. So here they are doing what? They are simply sharing their electrons, that is the mutual sharing of electron is taking place between the hydrogen and chlorine. So here you can see only 1 electron has been present. So this is what? This is the Lewis structure for this hydrogen atom, where only 1 electron is present in the outermost shell. Now talking about the chlorine, here you can see total 7 electrons are present in the outermost shell. So here these 7 are what? These 7 electrons are the valence electrons. So simply representing them all, that is 1 2 3 4 5 6 and 7. Now hydrogen requires only 1 electron, also the chlorine requires only 1 electron to become stable, so they are going to share their 1 electrons for making the covalent bond. So here it is putting its 1 electron for the sharing, and it is also putting its 1 electron for the sharing. So here you can see like just like this, that hydrogen has put it 1 electron for the sharing, and chlorine also have mutually shared its 1 electron with the hydrogen. While these electrons are not taking part in the bonding, they remain unbonded. So here you can see, students, that since if we talk about the circle that has been drawn combining all the electrons that are present around the hydrogen, you can see there are 2 electrons that are present around the hydrogen atom, while in the case of chlorine you can see that there are 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 and 8 electrons that are present around the chlorine atom. So you can represent it just like this, that is there are 2 electrons that are being shared. So here you can represent it with the single covalent bond. Now students, you can see over here that how the overlapping is taking place. So here this is the chlorine atom is somewhat bigger than that of the hydrogen atom, while this is the hydrogen atom. So here you can see that the overlapping between the chlorine and the hydrogen atom is taking place, which is represented by like this, that is H dash Cl. So let us now students move into the next example, which is about the H2O, that is the water molecule. So how the water molecule being takes place? So how water molecule is simply H2O, in which two hydrogen atoms and one oxygen atom is being present, and hydrogen and oxygen, they both are what? They both are the non-metal. It means that there should also be the sharing of electron taking place between the hydrogen and the oxygen atom. So talking about the hydrogen atoms, you can see that hydrogen contains only one electron in its outermost shell, that is in the K shell. So here the K shell is the valence shell, and the one electron present in the K shell is termed as the valence shell electron. So here the hydrogen is having only one electron, and it is in the requirement of getting only one electron. Now talking about the oxygen, the electronic configuration of oxygen is 2,6, because its atomic number is 8. It means that it has 6 electrons in its outermost shell. So it want to share 2 electrons with another atoms. So how can oxygen should be sharing 2 electrons while hydrogen should be sharing only 1 electron? So oxygen should be sharing its 1 electron with one hydrogen atom and another electron with another hydrogen atom. That's why the 2 electrons of the oxygen are being mutually shared between the hydrogen atoms. So for that, students, look over here. You can see the hydrogen has put its 1 electron for the sharing. Similarly, the oxygen has also put its 1 electron for the sharing with this hydrogen atom, while oxygen has put its 1 electron for the sharing with this hydrogen atom, and this hydrogen has also put 1 electron for the sharing with this oxygen atom. So around the oxygen, you can count that there are total number of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 electrons are present. It means that the octet of oxygen is also completed. So here it is represented by H2O. Now you can see over here that I have taught you in this that these electrons are not participating in the bonding, so they are termed as non-bonding electrons, and they could also be termed as the lone pair of electrons. Now students, you can see over here that since they are not taking participation in the bonding, so they are non-bonding electrons, while these electrons are taking participation in bonding, so they are termed as the bond pair of electrons, or you could also write them as the bonding electrons. Now students, let us see here and just imagine that around the hydrogen 2 electrons are present, and around this hydrogen 2 electrons are present. It means that their duplet is being completed. Now talking about this oxygen atom and the electrons that are present in this circle, so if you can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, it means that the duplet of oxygen is also completed. Now you see over here that 2 electrons are being shared. It means that between the oxygen and hydrogen, the one covalent bond should be present. Here you can see this oxygen and this hydrogen, one pair of electron are being shared. It means that there should also be one covalent bond that should be present in between this oxygen and this hydrogen atom. So here you could represent it like this, that is HOH, or you could also represent it like this, that is HOH, because here this angle should be constant. Why it should be constant? For that, students, you have to study the structure, that is the atomic structure, in the class 11th. So here you can see this is hydrogen atom, this is hydrogen atom, this is oxygen atom. Or if you talk about the overlapping part, here you can see that this oxygen atom is being overlapped with what? It is being overlapped with the hydrogen atoms. So the two hydrogen atoms are overlapping their orbitals with the oxygen atom. So this is how we have to draw for the covalent bonding. So now students, let us move and see some more examples. So let us now talk about the methane molecule that is having the formula of CH4. So if we talk about the methane, that is the CH4, in which 1 carbon and 4 hydrogen atoms are present. We have discussed so many examples just to reach to this methane, because the carbon has formed many compounds because it is doing the covalent bonding. Now you can see here the carbon having the 4 electrons, that is 1 2 3 4 in its outermost shell, because its electronic configuration is 2 4. The K shell, the L shell, so 4 electrons are present in the L shell, and we have discussed is that carbon cannot give its 4 electrons. Also the carbon cannot take 4 electrons, because gaining and losing 4 electrons are quite very difficult for the carbon. So carbon is going to share its 4 electron in order to achieve the stable noble gas configuration. So you can see here that these 4 electrons, that is 1 2 3 4, that are present around the carbon, that is in the valence shell, that are represented with the help of the Lewis notation. Now talking about the hydrogen, here hydrogen is having only 1 electron, and it requires only 1 electron to become stable. So this carbon cannot share its 4 electron with this single hydrogen atom. So it requires 4 hydrogen atoms for the sharing of its valence electrons. So you can see over here that carbon, that is 1 2 3 4 electron are present around it. So it is sharing its 4 electron with the hydrogen atom. So here one hydrogen has come with its 1 electron, another hydrogen has come with its 1 electron, another hydrogen atom is come with its 1 electron, and another hydrogen atom has come with its 1 electron. So you can see over here that how many electrons are present around this hydrogen atom. So here for this hydrogen atom 2 electrons are present. It means that the duplet of this hydrogen, this hydrogen, this hydrogen and this hydrogen is completed. It means that they all have become stable. Now talking about the carbon which is present over here. So how many electrons are you can see around the carbon? So on counting, students, you can see that is 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. So there are total number of 8 electrons that are present around the carbon atoms, or the 4 electrons that are mutually shared with 4 different hydrogen atoms. So here they have the formation like this. So just you can see over here that since hydrogen and carbon, they are sharing 2 electrons, hydrogen carbon, carbon hydrogen, carbon hydrogen, they are sharing 2 electrons, that is a pair of electrons. It means what? That here if we have to draw the structure, it means what? That this carbon is sharing the electrons with hydrogen, so we have to draw its structure like this, that is C H H H and H. So you can represent them just like this, because they all are doing what? They all are sharing their electrons, that is carbon and hydrogen are sharing their valence electrons. If I talk about how many shared pair of electrons are there, so there are 4 shared pair of electrons, because I have ask you about the pair of electrons. And if I ask you how many electrons are being shared over here, so there are total number of 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 electrons are being shared over in the methane molecule. And if I ask you how many covalent bonds are there, that is how many single covalent bonds are present between methane, so here you can see this is 1, this is 2, this is 3 and this is 4. So there are 4 covalent bonds which is present in the methane molecule. So this covalent bond you need to remember, and in these covalent bonds, if I talk about how many electrons that are being shared, so there are 2 into 4 electrons shared. If I talk about the pair, so simply remove this 2, because pair is 2. Now students, this we have seen for the methane molecules, and we have discussed so many examples over here. So I hope that the concept about the Lewis dot structure and the covalent bonding is clear to you. So here you can see that if this is representing the carbon, these are representing the hydrogen, so we can represent them with the help of the dash, that is this dash, second dash, third dash and fourth dash. So this is the actual structure of the methane molecule, in which all the carbon and hydrogen atoms, that is the angle between the carbon and hydrogen and the hydrogen and hydrogen, they are different. So that angle you are going to study, that is the geometry for these molecules, you are going to study them in the atomic structure of class 11. Now see over here, this is how the atoms are being shared like this. So here the atoms are present, that is hydrogen, hydrogen, hydrogen and hydrogen. There are 4 hydrogen atoms that are present, and they are mutually sharing their electrons with this central carbon atom. So students, this we have discussed And this is all about this lecture, in which we have started the next chapter, that is about the carbon and its compounds. In the tomorrow's lecture we are going to discuss some more examples, and we are going to see the versatile nature of carbon, and we are going to move further deep into this chapter. So students, thank you all.